on episode 0012 at DB1 Tap 317. This is what they told us. Holy shit! Which shit is that? I thought the intro was one of the creepy videos. What did he say? At DB1 Tap 317. They missed what the intro was about in episode 0012. I understand some guys could also have not understood. My friend, we were talking about our message here of spreading love, peace, honesty, and forgiveness. And I'm really glad you took your time and left behind these comments. Lots of love, my friend. Next comment from still the same episode 0012. This one is from the Light Seeker. They told us, check out the Book of Wisdom by Harry B. Joseph. Okay, that must be one good vibes book that the Light Seeker recommended for us here. And guess what? On episode 0015, this is what at Guy Phillips X41 told us. Seems like the bunnies prefer the taste of the Bible. Think I will take the sign at face value. You are truly the happiest of channels I have seen and I have been watching from the beginning. Awesome clips. Oh, awesome comment too at Guy Phillips. May God bless you abundant. You see this place of ours, we call it Happiness Headquarters because we intend on spreading the happiness and joy to the whole world. So kindly, my friend at Guy Phillips, recommend it to your friends and family. Tell them to subscribe and help us in our mission here. Let's proceed to the next comment. This one is now from at Johnny McG 9159. This one was in episode 008. They told us, bro, you clickbait. I thought you was Tyrese from Baby Boy. I don't know who Tyrese is, and I don't even know Baby Boy what it could have meant, but still good vibes at Johnny McG left behind some comments for us. Much love to you, Johnny. How are you doing today? At Jagali5493. Send us lots of love in episode 0012 still. Now, my friend, if it's your first time here and you're probably not familiar with what is going on, well, we are going through some comments that have been left behind by Good Vibes Source in different episodes. I would request you to also leave viewers in this episode. We might go through it in the next time we are reading comments. The next comment is from Mango 863 in episode 0012. Still they told us, you are hilarious. Oh my friend, and you Mango, you are a good vibe soul. One of a kind, my friend. May God bless you abundantly. It's good seeing comments from these good vibes, guys. Next one is from at DP9567. This one was now in episode 0013. They told us, a rabbit pillow with some laughing emojis there. My friend, this bunnies here, the ones you are seeing, they are not a pillow. These ones are our friends. Not even like pets, you see. Some good vibes friends that we chill with, and it's always glad to be with them, you see. Let's go to the next comment. Still on the same episode 0013. This one is from at Peacecat 6456. They told us, you are going viral for Shizle. Have a fun ride up. Who is Shizle? My friend, is Shizle a person or what could this mean? Peacecat. Lots of love. You see this comment of yours? Please, would you mind explaining for us what it means about this Shizle? You see, I'm not familiar with this English lands things and some vocabularies, but it's good way seeing comments from you at Peacecat. You see? Next comment is from episode 0014. Now this one was left behind by some good waves guy called Real Martin 6458. They told us, only read the Bible, FYI. Only read the Bible, FYI. My friend, there's another abbreviation here. What could FYI mean? This one I need the interpretation. My friend, what could FYI mean?
F for fun.
Fun.
I for
Independent.
independent.
And why?
Y for Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yeah.
Fan Yahweh independent. Only read the Bible. FYI. Hey, read Martin. Good episode. You see, this one I think he was talking about the episode where we were talking about the comparison between the two good vibes book we usually read. My friend, one of these books is the Quran. The next one is the Bible. And now at Ray Martin advises us to be reading only from the Bible. You see, if you are new here, this Quran book, my friend, we didn't start reading it a long time ago. And from what you have understood by going through it, is a bit creepy and quite ambiguous, you see? But you, my friends, if you have a protocol or the best way to go through the comments or through the Bible, the Quran, so that you can find good vibes words, you can tell us of how we can go about it. You see? Much love. Let's go to the next comment. Aha. Now this one is from Martin also. Martin 6458. He also commented on episode 0012. This is what they said. Keep up the great work, my friend, with some blood emoji, some sheep emoji, some crown emoji, and some love emoji. All this is for the sake of good vibes. Much love to you at Martin. At Bigwas Madness. What a creepy name, my friend. This one was in episode 0011. They told us, yo, I love your shirt. To Bigwas Madness. You love my shirt? It's quite creepy. You see, from this side of the world, there's something we never told you. Some of these clothes we put on, and some of the clothes that the English people combine after they have finished work with them and they are sent to Africa. Now there is a place you go to the market and get those clothes which have come from English lands. Maybe there is some good vibes guy who might see me with this shirt that at Biggest Madness thinks is cool and realize it was their shirt from English lands. You see? But anyways, good vibes, my friend. Still on the same episode, some good vibes guy called at Guy Phillips also left some comments saying, an amazing last article to have obviously investigated thoroughly enough to come to the conclusion Lockheed are abducting planes under the guise of UFOs. Attacks in mines blowing love your channel. All the best from England. Much love to you, Phillips from England. That is a place myself. I only read about it in books, hear about it, or when my ancestors or grandparents are telling me English people from England came to our land back then years ago. It's nice to see there are also some of you guys there watching and sending love. God bless you abundantly. At I_spook I told us in episode 0010 at the 15th minute 6 second. So much poo. Yuck. Lol. I think on that episode, my friend, is an episode where I had just seen some sewage tunnel had just blown up and was sending dust or waste to the highway. It's just crazy stuff. I was surprised in English lands they also have sewer lines like those. You see, if we would want to see how sewer lines in this side look like, there's an episode which will be suggested at the end of this video. You can check it out and see. We get to show how a little bit of this side looks like and the sewage systems. You see? At Ace Art Brother. This one is a regular commenter and it's really loved. They told us in episode 0010, the darker the world gets, the brighter God's people need to stand and shine. That is very true, my friend. And from wherever you are watching from, for this comment alone, may God bless you abundantly and make you the light to those people that are around you. My friend is passing me here the book of wisdom. But let's read one last comment before we hear from what it says today. You see, this last comment is from Nace the Paranormal 3303. They were telling us in episode 0010, the Bigfoot theory is a great news story. Very interesting. Never heard that version. Want to hear more? I always figured they were prehistoric. As it's crazy, my friends. You see, there is that story about the Bigfoot in that episode. You can check it out and leave your comments. These are just some of the comments that have been left behind by good vibes guys. My friends, it's always very motivating when you see comments from you, and we always pray that God will bless you abundantly and show you great stuffs and love in your life. You see, now, my friend, in this episode, which you are going to react to videos, I would also request you to leave some of your comments there and interact with us kindly. You see, now, before we dive in, my friend, let's read from this Good Vibes book of wisdom and hear what it has for us today. This is what it says. Hey, my friend, you have opened some Good Vibes place for me here, but there was some place. Let's read from this one first, then I read for you the other one. You see, this is what it says from Job 36:5. God is mighty, but does not despise men. He is mighty and firm in his purpose. He does not keep the wicked alive, but gives the afflicted their rights. He does not take his eyes off the righteous. He enthrones them with kings and exalts them forever. But if men are bound in chains, held fast by cords of affliction, he tests them what they have done, that they have sinned arrogantly. Wow, this is interesting, my friends. God is great and good at all times. The other verse, we read it in the next episode or at the end, my friend. Now, let's give thanks to our Creator also for this moment before we dive in. Dear Lord Father, thank you for life, Father. Thank you for your goodness and your love, Father. Thank you for this wonderful soul, dear Lord, that have joined us today. All glory and honor belong unto you, Father. Dear Lord, you who that knows them individually, Father, with their needs and desires, Father. May you fulfill them to them, Father, as we get to go through these videos by spreading love to the whole world. Fill us with your Spirit, dear Lord, and forgive us all our sins. In Jesus' mighty name, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. My friend, let's dive into spreading some good vibes. Much love.
This lamp uses seawater to work, but how does it happen? It can generate light for up to 45 days. The lamp consists of 3 parts that collect the water and transform it into energy through an ionization process. The salt water turns magnesium into electricity. In addition to lasting up to 5,000 hours, it can charge other devices. This invention could help 900 million people worldwide, providing a sustainable solution for places without access to light, such as indigenous tribes. How would you use this lamp?
Listen up!
The ocean is rapidly heating up, hitting record-breaking levels. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, better known as NOAA, reported this week that ocean surface temperatures spiked in April and May to the highest levels recorded since the 1950s. This could have dangerous consequences for aquatic life, hurricane activity, and global
Mind
weather
you, yo,
patterns.
that news clip was from last year, you feel me? And remember I was telling y'all I had a really strange feeling that something was going on with the waters in the ocean and shit. Now look at this, what I found on your main. Now if y'all been keeping up with my posts and all that before I got shadow banned and all that, y'all would know that I've been trying to tell y'all, like, it's been a lot of weird, mysterious creatures popping up. It's been a lot of things happening like this. Fish doing some weird spinny shit in the ocean and all that. I showed y'all multiple videos, yo, where the fishermen said that they haven't been catching that many fish and shit like that and all that. Y'all peep, right? The ocean is husky, bro, you feel me? And we all live on land, so it's only a few people that's out on the waters, like, out there. So we really don't know what the hell's going on out there, you feel me? Oh my God!
In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how far human stupidity has been stretched because of ego. You really can't make this shit up. As Europe grew wealthier, laws were put in place to keep the wealth of noble families intact. Venice's Great Council created something called the Golden Book that the sons of noble families had to sign at the age of 18. Only the people whose names were in this book could eventually become a member of council. So the family tree started to be taken very seriously, that noble families even hired artists to create visual propaganda. And heredity was first expressed as vertical lines, and eventually those vertical lines became a simple tree. So the founder of the noble lineage was at the base, and then at the branches were the descendants. Because of the forking shape, the French named these pictures P de grue, which means crane's foot. And in English, this became pedigree. Heredity herencia in Spanish comes from the Latin word hereditas. But obviously the Romans weren't referring to genetics. It was just a state of being an heir. In the Middle Ages, Europeans referred to blood as an explanation for kinship. Blood gave ancestry a different form. A child was born with the blood of his parents coursing through its veins and therefore would inherit all that went with it. So genealogies became bloodlines, and eventually this created an obsession with being tainted by lower class blood. Soon enough, Europeans began to sort animals according to their blood. So falcons had the noblest blood. So falconry became the sport of kings. Then you had dog and horse connoisseurs that spent fortunes on buying purebreds. In the 1400s, people began to use the word race to define a group of animals that shared the same blood. Soon enough, it was associated with people as well. So then you had good races and bad races. The priest Martinez de Toledo said, "The good man of good race always returns to his origins, whereas the miserable man of bad race or lineage will always return to the villainy from which he descends." In the late 1400s, the Jews became super discriminated in Spain, and to escape the torment, they converted into Christianity. Yet the old Christians still rejected them and labeled them as conversos, claiming that they would never escape their sinful inheritance with a mere oath. Jewish immorality was carried in their blood. It gets worse. In 1449, Toledo turned this into a law. Jewish were disqualified from marrying a Christian, from holding office, from inheriting an estate. The irony is that to define the Jews as a separate race, Spain had to define itself as its own race. Noble families were suddenly boasting about the cleanliness of their blood, limpieza de sangre. And because marriages and high governmental positions required certificates of purity, they hired special race researchers called linajudos to prove their limpieza de sangre. And most noble families have Jewish ancestry, so the linajudos made a fortune inventing chronicles that left this minor detail out. As comical as all of this sounds, eventually the notion of race became very dark. It was used to justify slavery. When Columbus enslaved the Indians, he made them work on farms and mines. One scholar even wrote, "Nature proportioned their bodies so that they should have strength for personal service. The Spaniards, on the other hand, are delicately proportioned and were made prudent and clever so that they should be able to lead a political and civil life." The Native Americans suffered so badly from hard labor and new diseases that their population collapsed. I find it insane that a notion, an ideology, can lead to the dehumanization of an entire human population. In 1377, Ibn Khaldun, the Arab scholar, he declared that Africans possessed attributes similar to those of dumb animals. It gets worse. Some scholars even justified slavery as a curse that the Africans inherited from their biblical ancestors, referring to the part when Noah says that his son's son will be a slave of slaves. It gets worse. The Habsburg family were a royal family that was obsessed with keeping their blood clean. So they only married amongst themselves. First cousins married first cousins, uncles married nieces. So Philip II had epilepsy, melancholy, asthma. He married his first cousin Maria, and they had Don Carlos, whose right side of his body was much less developed than his left side. He had a hunchback. He died at 23, leaving Philip II without an heir. So Philip II married Anna of Austria, and they had Philip III. Philip III married his first cousin, and they had Philip IV. Now, Philip IV married his first cousin, but she kept having a series of miscarriages, and when she did eventually give birth, the baby didn't survive. How ironic, how wild that the dynasty, probably the most pampered people on earth, suffered from higher infant mortality than Spanish peasant families.
So many of you have messaged or DM'd me this article or some version of it. If you're not up to speed, this man, Vincent Line, who's an adjunct researcher at the University of Tasmania, wrote this LinkedIn post, which is confidently titled "Mystery of MS-370 Solved by Science." The reason why this post is blowing up all over the internet is because Line claims to know exactly where MS-370 is located. I, of course, immediately contacted him to chat more about his theory, but he wrote back to me saying that he isn't doing any interviews right now because, quote, "officials are seriously considering my theory." This sentence alone intrigued me enough to yet again deep dive into the abyss and rabbit hole that is MH370 to see what exactly is his theory and what is making him so confident to say that the MH370 is solved. Now, 22 pages and many of his publications later, I am now here to relay all that information to you. Okay, here we go. Lyon writes that his theory changes the original 2014 theory from the plane nosediving into the 7th arc after running completely out of fuel to a mastermind pilot almost executing a perfect disappearance in the South Indian Ocean. That is a quote. Lyon says that we were this close to having zero MH370 evidence, hence the almost perfect disappearance, if MH370's right wing didn't plow through a wave upon impact, and if there was no satellite data from Inmarsat. Through his work, Lyon outlines that the damage to the wing, flap, and flaperon are consistent with a controlled ditching effort, similar to what Jean-Luc said. What he did was compare the damage on the MH370 debris to the controlled ditching effort executed by Captain Sully on the Hudson River on Flight 1549 on January 15, 2009. From this, Lyon was able to show that not only did MH370 perform a ditching effort, it also had fuel and running engines when it went under. Thus, it was not this high-speed, fuel-starved crash that we originally believed. But Lyon says that he knows exactly where MH370 is. So where is it, and how does he know this with such certainty? Lyon concluded that MH370 is where the longitude of Penang Airport, the runway, no less, intersects with the pilot in command or PIC home simulator track, discovered and discarded by the FBI and officials as irrelevant. And just to orient you, he is saying that the exact MH370 location is where this red dot is. But why ditch the plane in this specific location? Well, he goes on to say at this exact, quote, premeditated location exists a 6,000-meter deep hole at the eastern end of Broken Ridge. This area is known to be a very rugged, a very dangerous ocean environment with massive ridges and other very deep holes. It's basically a deep sea hiding space. A 6,000-meter pocket nestled in the middle of the southern Indian Ocean. By the way, that is 20,000 feet deep for my fellow Americans. On top of that, the hole is filled with sediment. So essentially, if the plane is in this hole, it would be completely covered up with sediment, hiding in plain sight. And this next part is really interesting, especially if you've been watching all of my MH370 videos. It's a photo, so let's take a look. Okay, so this yellow dot is the Penang latitude hole. That's what he refers to it as, but I'll just refer to it as the PL hole. Stop it. And this is the 7th arc. So the PL hole is just past the 7th arc. Now, where have we heard this before? Both Richard Godfrey and Jean-Luc both calculated that MH370's true location is just past the 7th arc. That is now 3 independent investigators now coming to a similar, if not the same, conclusion. Lyon is extremely confident that this is the reason why other investigations and other search efforts have failed to find the plane. But the thing is, this is just one part of his theory. So what is the rest of his theory and what is the evidence for it? This is the pre-publication that is out now. But do keep in mind as we go through this that it is not yet peer-reviewed. The majority of Lyon's theory is based on 2 pieces of evidence. 2 deleted communications between the satellite and MH370, and the calculated actual flight path compared to Captain Zahari Ahmed Shah's at-home simulator paths, which he says contained hidden riddles that he was able to crack wide open. Firstly, what are these 2 communications and why were they disregarded? These last 2 communications were dismissed in the original 2014 case because they were interpreted as settling errors, and thus were not deemed significant to the overall data and investigation. These communications are called burst frequency offsets, or BFOs. For context, the BFO communications were used to calculate the 7 arcs. It's the recorded ping when the satellite and the plane made contact with one another. As a result, Lyon states that the disregard of the final 2 communications led to incorrect calculations of where MH370 actually made impact, causing the search team to comb through the 7th arc with no luck. This is kind of an aside, but he provides more information on the cell phone communications. So from my conversations with other key MH370 investigators, they all confirm that the co-pilot cell phone briefly connected while flying over Penang, but no communications, no messages or calls went through. While that is still true, Lyon discovered that at the request of the Vietnamese ATC, a call from a nearby aircraft heard, quote, mumbling and static aboard MH370. So this is arguably the last known contact with MH370 ever. Then there's Ocean Infinity, the original 2014 deep sea search team. They collected a vast volume of seafloor data across 120,000 kilometers square. This ocean research was donated to the Nippon Foundation and remains the most intensely mapped seafloor area of our planet. So that was a huge upside to come out of the MH370 search. But on the other hand, MH370 was nowhere to be found in this mapped area, despite its vastness. These are all the aspects of the original investigation that Line feels misled the search team to go looking for MH370 in the wrong place. Okay, with me so far? So once again, how did Line come to the conclusion that MH370 is in the PL hole and that it was a controlled ditching effort? Let's get into that. Okay, so based on Line's ditching analysis, he concluded the following information. During the controlled ditching, the right wing hits a wave which rips off the engine. The extended and exposed edges of the flaps and flaperons were damaged as a result. Then, several things happen at once. The impact onto the water plus the impact of the wave caused downward crushing forces on various parts of the plane. This caused the fuselage to essentially break apart from the right wing, flap, and flaperon. Hence why these were the main three debris that was found all from the right side of the plane. The other aspect is a controlled ditching can only be attempted under full engine power with the flaps and flaperon in its full extended position, which they were. And this particular debris evidence was analyzed by Larry Vance, who's an aviation accident investigator. And he concludes that the damage found on the flap, flaperon, and the wing are all consistent with a ditching effort, rather than a fuel-starved crash. But to play devil's advocate, other experts who examined the debris in person say that the flaps and flaperons were not deployed. Just something to keep in mind. It's the second part of his theory that I personally found really interesting. It's the analysis of the known flight path calculated from the satellite data compared to the pilot's at-home simulator data. The actual flight path that was taken, as far as we know, is shown in highlighter yellow, so this line right here. While the simulator tracks are shown in purple, so it's just this straight line down here. Then there are the decoy tracks. Yes, decoy. And those are shown in red, so you see it up top right here, and then also right here going towards Australia. The Penang latitude hole is exactly where the longitude of Penang, which is this thin brown line, is really hard to see, intersects with the 6,000 meter deep hole. The decoy tracks, which are towards the Southern Ocean and towards the Perth airport runway, were not taken, but merely there to cause confusion. Hence the riddles embedded within the simulator, according to Line. Okay, let's take a look at another image. Okay, to orient you, these white lines that you see here, those are the 7 arcs. Then there are 4 flight paths shown here. The one in yellow is the one that veers towards the Penang latitude hole. The one in green is called the Adelaide track. That is the decoy track towards Perth, Australia. The dashed red line that you see here is the track that the pilot in command is believed to have actually taken, hence the name Pilot in Command track or PIC track. Then you have the orange track, which is heading directly towards the PL hole as well, and that is coming from the pilot's at-home simulator. From here, Line used physics to calculate the velocity and angle, so whether the plane was ascending or descending, and compare that to the timing of when the plane pinged via the Inmarsat satellite data. And from here, he came to the conclusion that the velocity of MH370 and the timing of when and where MH370 pinged from the satellite data don't match up with the 2014 calculations. Here's what that means. Essentially, this fuel starvation scenario would have required the plane to actually slow down to achieve that nosedive crash, when in reality, the plane in fact needed to speed up to a minimum of 750 kilometers an hour to cross the arcs at the right time. In other words, MH370 had to be flying a lot faster to ping where it did, which is in direct contradiction to a no active pilot, fully hypoxic cabin scenario. The wildest part is that Line was even able to calculate the approximate time that the plane actually hit the water, which was just past sunrise or 12:53 UTC. And there's more, always. Line says that the plane needed to descend below the clouds or within the clouds to remain hidden. And then he later discovered a 300-kilometer trail of cloud anomalies that matched the final pilot in command track of MH370. And you can see these cloud anomalies in these satellite images. Then I come across the strangest evidence I have ever come across in my entire MH370 research. This is also the first time I've ever heard about this. Okay, so get this. Apparently, on Wednesday, July 2nd, 2014, so this is 4 months after MH370 goes missing, An unopened Malaysian Airlines MAS moist hand wipe towelette was found by a retired couple on a beach called Thirsty Point Cervantes, which is about 200 kilometers north of Perth, Western Australia. The couple immediately found it odd and reported the find. The Australian Travel Safety Bureau dismissed the find, stating that it is first highly unlikely and also near impossible to conclusively link this moist hand wipe towelette to MH370. And that was basically that. But Lion believes that based on his MH370 location, that this Malaysian Airlines towelette most likely escaped a sinking MH370 from that Penang latitude hole. I feel like I say this at the end of every MH370 video now, but we won't actually know which theory is correct until the Malaysian government okays a new search, which talks for are currently underway. What is certain is that Ocean Infinity and any other deep sea teams that are interested in joining the search for MH370 now have 3 distinct locations to investigate. I don't know if this is the scenario where more the merrier is the case in terms of locations, but I am eager to see if the labor of all these investigations ultimately bears any fruit. It would be such a huge relief to so many people to have this case closed. But only time will tell. So until the next MH370 news pops up, I will see you later.
Look at this cool shell I just found. Have you ever heard of Kundalini sickness? That's a lot of the times why people are walking around with psychosis. You should check it out.
Most people don't know that the hottest place on Earth is not in the Sahara Desert. Furnace Creek holds this title, located in an area known as Death Valley. Furnace Creek has a population of fewer than 20 people, but covers 31.5 square miles of land. On July 15th, 1972, Furnace Creek recorded a ground temperature of 201 degrees Fahrenheit, the highest natural ground temperature ever recorded. Surrounded by mountains, Furnace Creek is baked by the desert sun, and most of it lies 190 feet below sea level, trapping heat. The valley is extremely dry, with an average annual rainfall of just 2.23 inches, while the average evaporation rate reaches up to 150 inches. There is virtually no vegetation, allowing the sun's energy to directly heat the ground. Interestingly, it once snowed here, briefly covering the ground before melting away. Would you dare to take on a hiking challenge in this extreme environment?
How do you build without nails or screws? Japan knows. They use an old Japanese technique called kumiko. There are up to 360 types of joints, each with a name. This method not only avoids metal fasteners, but also shows respect for nature. Though kumiko is often seen in puzzles today, these ancient buildings are a testament to Japanese craftsmanship. My name is Felipe, and I bring green news every day.
Multiple people, including this commenter, wanted to know if insects only evolved wings once, and all winged insects are descended from a shared winged insect ancestor, what is the deal with flying ants? Because most ants are not flighted, right? So surely the flying ants represent a new evolution of wings in insects? This is a great question with a really cool answer, which is that actually ants are ancestrally a flying group of insects. It is the flightless ants which have evolved a new adaptation, and the flying ones are doing what is traditional for their family lineage. Now I'm going to tell you something that you will never unsee, which is that evolutionarily, ants are a type of flightless wasp, actually. So look at an ant next time you get the chance, you'll totally see it.